What is up, guys? Welcome to Lectures, our first, technically second, but first episode for MSI that we'll be covering. There'll be plenty, probably looking towards after the group in playoffs and then the main stage, and hopefully quarters, semis, finals. We'll see. We're going to get straight into it because we don't really want to sit here and talk about playing teams too much because let's be real, none of them look too great. So, yeah, actually, just while I remember even, let's take a moment to toot our own horns because I think we successfully in our little preview video talked about or analyzed, for lack of a better term, how well we thought these teams were going to do coming in. We were definitely right about Fangvu being better than Fenerbahce, despite Fenerbahce being a strong team. We were right about Bombers sucking. Right about just take that little bit of self gratification to let me know that I'm on it. I was on it.
Going the OPL casters always hype them up,
they're never good. They're never good.
Never.
Also, we're actually joined by a third. I completely forgot. How dare I? Mitchell is here today to analyze with us, to flame crap teams. Hopefully, NA. Take.
Whoa!
Throw some of that banter.
Team Liquid. Team Liquid, yes.
Yeah, that's what I got you on here for, right? This is the
salty TSM fans.
This is the. We're renaming this to like just a straight hour of roasting Team Liquid. We're gonna say, I can't believe that they are Mega would have been honestly in a best of 5. I think Mega could beat Team Liquid. You know, the bottom OPL team could beat NA.
Hey, now wait a minute.
Nah, it's fine. You don't understand. You don't understand.
I feel like there's some things you don't say, and
you can't comprehend my sick macro knowledge of just a little tiny little shots fired there. But Alice is never gonna watch this video. Alice, if you do, if this video somehow reaches you, come at me, fight me, or DM me, one of the two. But yeah,
say hi, please.
Yeah, Pretty Please acknowledge my existence. Also, your OP.GG's reviews suck, so you know. Yeah, Fangbu Buffalo looked really good. I say really good. They looked the best playing team, which is but they also I think looked better than their Worlds performance as well. I think that relatively across the board, maybe bar top lane, their laners have drastically leveled up and gotten better this time around for international competition. They look way more solid. They look way more cohesive as a team. And Big Koro, who I actually thought was probably going to be one of the weaker members of the team, he showed up real big. It's in his name.
Yeah.
He did really well. So I think going into their match with Team Liquid, I want to get your thoughts on how you think that best of 5 is going to play out. If we think who we think is going to win, and obviously maybe if we want just to discuss the relative strength of the team compared to I guess, do we think maybe Fenerbahce would have won that instead if we think elsewise? But anyway, anyone take the floor? Tell me. Hit me with the flame. I'm ready.
Well, as the resident Liquid fan, I guess I'll go first. I mean, as far as Fangbu Buffalo goes, I agree. I thought that their bot side would have been their big weak point, and they were going to be a top jungle and somewhat mid-focused team. But strangely enough, it was pretty much like everyone but Zero showed up at least once during this tournament. And I feel like contrary to what the analyst desk was trying to peddle, Zero didn't show up in almost any of the games. Like game 1, he looked decent, but it was in a winning game, and he had a 4-1 and 13 Jarvan on his back. So it's really easy to look good when your jungler is literally hard smurfing on the other one.
Yeah.
So that's good news for Team Liquid, because when we discussed this matchup before, this potential matchup, we were saying Impact versus Zeros is the only lopsided matchup that could potentially exist too. Mm-hmm. And in the current state Zeros is playing, this is literally the kind of top laner Impact eats for breakfast any day. This is the kind of shit, when you see Someday getting tilted and he's a carry top laner, this is the kind of shit Impact just feeds on and absorbs into his body. So I think that's totally fine. Big Koro and Palette, especially Palette. I thought Big Koro was okay. I said he was okay before, but I literally said who remembers Palette? Do you remember him doing anything last year?
Oh no.
Because I certainly do not. Palette looked a lot better. He made a lot of huge plays on Galio, and forgot what the other support he played was, but I do remember his Galio play was
Potentially
quite
could have been
sublime.
Braum. I think Braum was picked quite a lot.
It was probably Braum, but he looked quite good on that. So I think that they're going to look better. But once again, regardless of how much better they leveled up, they're not at the level of Doublelift and Core JJ. We want the best spot laner in the world or second best.
Probably.
So
they're looking real strong.
Well, at least according to the Team Liquid analysts.
Oh,
so they're looking quite good.
You.
I mean, like memes aside, they do look quite good, especially amongst like the play-in levels at least. Like we can debate the other stuff later. Mid lane, Jensen's still a better player than Null. Null had a really good game in Zoe, which means he can pick that. Well, I don't think Jensen can play Zoe, but he doesn't have that edge, right? Like he still looked okay, but he was against Bolulu, who I believe is a rookie in the Turkish scene. So I'm just not wholly convinced that this squad can have the consistency to win all 5 matches. They'll probably take one match. They might be drafting some, classic Vietnamese cheese. But like, dude, PvP had a game where Aurelia was 2-10 in a pro game. And
no.
like this was disgusting to watch. Like this is their superstar top laner, and like you could literally see the casters in shambles during the match. They were thinking they're like, oh, this superstar top laner, he was so close this time. Oh, maybe he was trying, and I'm like, no, he's inting.
He's inting.
Like he's 200 health.
Hard int.
He's at 200 health. The ruins are Renekton at like 700 health, and he dashes in when the gank is coming, leaving his kindred to be like, what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, Mitchell?
Oh yeah.
Or
no, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I was just a little distracted.
That's all good.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, just the PvP versus TL matchup. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Impact is gonna poop on him. Like, it's not gonna be close. Like Zeros, I think we were talking about it a bit before we started this video. He has okay mechanics. He makes a lot of questionable decisions. Map awareness is not quite there. We're looking for some part of PvP to tilt the matchup into their favor. It's not gonna be top lane, unfortunately, unless Zeros like significantly improves in the next couple days or whatever. Also, their jungler Meliodas.
Yeah, Meliodas.
He definitely was the better jungler in pretty much all of their series. As in, like, he knew more of his limits to just keep going in. But he had that kind of like solo queue jungle mentality where like I just see like he's a bit stronger, he just keeps going in over and over and over. And I think better teams, they're just gonna punish that. It's a little too obvious. Like I remember the J4 game where he got super fed. Dude, he just kept EQing forward over and over again. No care in the world, man. Just hit it, miss it, don't care. I'm just gonna keep EQing forward.
He missed quite a few of those, but he did do well on his first J4 game in terms of overall results. But
yeah, the results were good. I think the actual gameplay,
not so great.
It's still like I agree with the sentiment earlier where we say like these guys could be probably masters, maybe grandmasters at most, where we're like pro players like Doublelift, Jensen, they're challenger and above. They're actually just like much better players, and I don't know even individually if these guys have the talent to beat them yet. But yeah, and then you look at the macro and it's like not even close. Yeah, so those are just my short, small opinions.
I do think that looking at based on the top lane being so weak, if previously looking into it when we're like, oh, we would be feared for Team Liquid under any condition, it's you look at the top lane, you go, can Impact play against Zeros being like this hyper they'd be like almost like the Shy, not quite literally, but being able to take like the putting pressure up top lane, forcing Xmithy top, and then having their jungler be able to sit other lanes. However, I don't think that it's gonna play differently. Their play style hasn't changed just because their top laner is now inting. So therefore, PvP is still going to play topside heavy. Or rather Team Liquid against them will end up playing topside heavy because the jungler will sit on the lane where Zeros is going to be inning frequently. Potentially, that opens up the map. It depends on how obviously what champions Impact is playing and the speed of the game. Because if Zeros is like 0-4, like 12 minutes in, then we have a problem. There's no way you win that game. Impact is fed on whatever champion, tank or not. Probably going to be hard to get out of. But if Zeros can pull back a little bit, if he can just the tiniest bit, and we've seen that he hasn't, but he doesn't have to play superstar. All he's got to do is take some breaths between each int, like just go, okay, he looks at the clock, he's like, I can int again, cool, goes in, dies, that's fine, as long as your jungler has time to breathe and impact the map. If you're forcing a Smithy top, potentially, you can see Meliodas gank mid, and find Null is not a bad mid laner. Null is significantly improved from his world showing. I've been relatively impressed with him
for sure
this time. I think that the way that they draft with Null is that he plays very controlled defensive mid laners and somehow manages to edge out, which is really important because then you're never really counterpicked. Because damn, you got to counterpick on like the Lysandra or the Morgana. Oh damn, dude.
I don't want to see Lysandra, honestly.
Like,
I want to see Nautilus mid. I want to see him play Nautilus mid. That shit is OP.
Hey, it was played, so yeah. I mean, it looks like some people are seeing it as viable options, and it like counters things like Aurelia fairly well in laning phase.
And it shores up your weaknesses as like not as good enough of a player. It's a really strong pick, and you can do a point and click CC. Very easy to do. Like, yeah,
it
and
really
like
does.
auto attack. Very easy to do, no matter what skill player you are. Yeah. So I think it'll shore up their weaknesses as like a weaker team, weaker player. I'm just gonna make a bold prediction. I see Impact getting a 1v2 kill under tower. He's gonna get dove like 3 times in a row, and he's gonna get like a return kill. It's gonna be like a highlight. It's gonna happen. They're gonna camp Impact. he's gonna absorb it. Turn it around.
He sees the future.
I mean, he's used to getting camped. He should be fine.
Yeah.
He's like Dyrus, but if he worked out instead.
Dyrus if he was a world champion. Yeah.
I mean, Dyrus if he was a world champion. I like Dyrus. I just think that at his end, it was a sad, slow death.
It was.
Yeah, he was next level when he was good though. He was pretty.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But enough about TSM's mistakes because I could do like. I don't know, like at least 10 hours on how much I actually hate TSM. I still favor them in the Team Liquid matchup. So and they still disappoint me even when I'm on their side.
They always find a way.
By the way, I guess we're all relatively agreed then that I'd say that I'm probably the most towards maybe saying I can see PvB winning a best of 5 if. Things go. You got to consider the factors of like tilt, just the general best of 5 play style. Like you can go down 0-2, and there's always a chance to come back. Team Liquid, despite looking strong, needless reminder that they were 0-2 down in the TSM series, and they only won because TSM let them win. Granted, PvB is not the same team as TSM, but. It's not like Team Liquid coming into this tournament were playing on form until their last best of 3. PvP have had time to play like in the tournament, power up a little bit, find their picks, find their niche, figure out what they want to actually how they're going to approach the game. Team Liquid have been playing what they can only be playing scrims and solo queue on 9.8, 9.9. Going ahead.
Yeah, well, there's like all the LPL teams they could scrim against.
I'm sure there's plenty of good teams. The question is,
they're in Korea right now. They were in Korea.
I don't think
Team Liquid in Korea.
I think
and they can also play with the Koreans even when they're in Vietnam. So it's like it will have ping, but like it's better practice than the NA Academy teams or
for sure
bottom tier NA team. Actually, honestly, it's better than pretty much all the NA teams except maybe the top 2 or 3, depending on who you ask. So. I think that they're getting good practice. I actually think that I agree that because it's a best of 5, there's more room for variance, but because of the way PvP plays, there's going to be more of those Sven moments in the game. Like Zeros literally pulls a Sven moment every other minute. Yeah. Like if you just clipped all his deaths, you're just thinking to yourself, like, how is this humanly possible? How could a man watch someone clear the Pink Ward and Rift Herald pit or Baron pit and then just decide this is the time I should go in on Silas with my jungler not anywhere nearby? I'm gonna go in. Like I swear to God, the Fenerbahce top laner Ruin was probably thinking to himself like, oh, his jungler has to be behind him. There's no way he's that stupid. And then they get the kill and they're like, where was the jungler?
Narrator says he's that stupid.
I'd like to see Ruin on the PvP team. Actually, Ruin was despite Fenerbahce not actually making that groups. I thought Fenerbahce played relatively well, and obviously Ruin showed up.
It's some nice rumble multis. Yeah.
Ruin showed up even more than I would have expected because this guy like 1v9'd his goddamn team through the finals of their league. Like it was
usually when they
oof, Hades is
no thank you. Usually when they give that narrative like this is the super carry of their team or whatever, or like this guy's like just such an amazing player, that's usually just like they say that, you know, they're like,
this
maybe
guy's pretty good. Somebody has to.
Yeah,
be
like
good.
somebody told them like this guy's so good. Trust me, Surenfire is a god jungler, like top challenger player and #1 rank in 3 accounts or 1, 2, 3 on OCE. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Get Surenfire.
Is that
I'm
good?
gonna get Surenfire on the show, dude. I'm gonna contact him. And be like,
I mean, hey, he can prove. I mean, Surefire is an NA challenger, isn't he, or something? So
yeah, what does that even mean? NA? What?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. But anyway, I think that Fenerbahce looked more solid as a team. I do think that they still got out tempoed by the erratic playstyle of Funbu Buffalo. Like Funbu Buffalo can throw Team Liquid off kilter for a game, maybe even 2 if they don't adapt quick enough. Because Team Liquid does adapt in best of 5s, but it's kind of slow. Like you could see in their best fight against TSM that they were not like.
Yeah,
they were not like after one game we'll never lose to something like that again.
They didn't figure out ban Vladimir. It's kind of hard. I know it's a little difficult to understand that.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But I mean, TSM couldn't figure out ban Skarner.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I mean, it is NA teams, so you know.
It is NA teams. So I think that Fenerbahce gets like a honorable mention just because they did look quite good. I can see why they were a pool 1 team. I thought they looked solid, and Funbu beat them is a plus. The only problem is that them beating them was literally, it was just such a pain. The wins were so painful. Like the first one was very good, but it was a snowball game. The second loss was disgustingly bad, and the tiebreaker one was okay. So like, what do you get out of that? You get a team that like edged out the Turkish team. I mean, the Turkish league's best player is sitting on TSM, and he lost to Team Liquid. So all I'm saying is, like, I think we'll be fine.
Whoa! How are you gonna?
Is Broken Blade the best player?
How are you gonna sit there and flame Ganged by Mom, Wolf, like for all of these Koreans that go over to Turkey?
Snowflower.
You're just like
five simultaneous 5-time MVP of the Korean League, Snowflower,
2-time world champion.
In Turkey, rather than die in NA, they chose to die in Turkey. My God!
They always
choices you make in life.
How honorable!
They'll always make it to Worlds, and everyone will always be like, "Oh, they're really good because they beat some playing teams, so they at least get."
Well, okay. So quick aside, because I come from StarCraft, all the memes aside, it's fun to have the memes. I do think it's a good thing that we have these leagues and that they're hyped like 100%. This. Like if you watch StarCraft 2 towards its later days, there was no region locking, so Koreans just played in NA, Koreans played in EU, and their world championship, you could have the representative, whoever won the most split points in those regions. And it would just be a Korean representing NA versus the Korean representing EU versus the Korean representing Korea. And you're thinking to yourself, like, what the fuck is this?
Hell yeah.
Like, at least as a like if I was a really casual viewer, and like I didn't care about the top level play, kind of like a Monte Cristo would care about, then, you know, as a casual, I'd just be like, who do I cheer for? They just are all nameless Koreans for the most part. To use that stereotype, you know, obviously there's like the Hoonies of the world or whatever who like people start to like as they live there longer, but I think it's a good mix. Like you have good players importing to those regions, like, you know, Japan has Koreans now too. Actually, most of the teams has Korean except for SEA or not SEA. Funbu Buffalo does not have a Korean on their team.
They're all Vietnamese.
I believe they're all Vietnamese, which is impressive. An all NA team probably would be hard pressed to play against them. I think FlyQuest would not be favored in that matchup. Actually, like no meme.
Trying to tell me Wild isn't better than.
I think it would be like 50-50 if you played FlyQuest. This FlyQuest versus this
Fungu Buffalo.
Fungu Buffalo. I think so.
Ooh, I disagree.
I can see that. I think Fungu
I mean,
Buffalo
okay, if we were saying that Team Liquid would be kind of a matchup, and Team Liquid's 3-0 FlyQuest, then like we have to be consistent somewhere. Like I think Team Liquid's gonna.
I don't think it's a matchup. I think TL's gonna 3-0 them, like easy.
Okay, so then based on that logic, they 3-0 FlyQuest, they 3-0 PvP.
Yeah, so
those two should be able to face each other. That's how math works, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so my little aside is like to finish that off. Like I think it's really good, and we should shit on these other regions, but like acknowledge that like if they are getting better, which I think this year they kind of stagnated to be honest, but if they do improve, that's very good for the world. Like there's no other video game that has a global scene of this extent. Like Counter-Strike is just EU and NA in Brazil, StarCraft is just Korea and some Europeans. And Overwatch is dead. No, wait, is it?
I mean,
is it still running?
It might as well be dead because I don't know if any.
I think it's just like NA Korea.
Who even watches the Overwatch League? And also, it's just full of Koreans anyway.
I think they get viewership when they have like their match days, but their match days are pretty infrequent.
It's so hard to watch. God, there's spectators.
It's really hard to watch. I like try to give it a chance because I want to watch Monty and Doa cast again, but it's not.
They're the only good casters. They're legit.
I don't know. I don't even think Doa casts with Monty as. I don't know. Either way, that's Overwatch. No one cares about Overwatch. My point is, League is a great game, and like while we have our flaws and these play-in teams or wildcard teams, whatever you want to call them,
we're not allowed to call them wildcards anymore.
Like memes
that's
at times.
Offensive.
Like it's actually amazing that there's like over 100,000 viewers in Brazil just for the Brazilian viewership, or EU Masters gets like 50K for the Spanish stream or 100K. That is insane, and I'm really glad that we keep doing this and we keep doing play-ins because play-ins at least makes it exciting. Like IWC, the old IWC Q or whatever, was awful. It was absolute garbage. No one watched it. At least no one from a major region watched it that I knew of. I like that this is part of the main talent casting it. For the most part. Like they use kind of the B tier main talent, like they use the EU casters and then
whoa.
They throw in no, not like the main EU casters. I'm talking about like some of the less experienced EU casters will take care of this, as well as like Dracos. No, Dracos is EU.
Yeah, Dracos is also
who was the NA caster who was doing most of the NA casts for playing?
I think Azale was doing it.
Yeah, Azazel was also.
Azale's fine. Fine. There's someone from NA who was not my favorite caster who was doing it.
But he was playing. He was casting the plans.
Azale, no, Azale just did the tiebreaker. I thought.
I think.
Yeah.
Either way, right. I'm glad that they take the native Riot like LCS and LEC talent, and they actually have them cast these matches because it's way more it's way more digestible to watch them cast the matches than like. I'll be honest, like my LPL casters, like I love the LPL, but most of the LPL casters are still a little rough around the edges. So.
Yeah, and they had a good LPL casters a while ago with Pastry Time and Frosk and Spawn, and then they just got rid of them.
And Raz, I really like Raz.
I mean, I like Raz, but I really like Pastry Time, and I'm upset that I haven't seen him cast recently.
I like Frost.
He's casting OCE.
Frosk's good. I know, but I feel like I haven't heard Pastry Time cast in a while at least. That's just my personal.
Well, that's because no one watches OCE, but I think the current team's fine in LPL. That's another day story for another day. I think they're fine. They're just a lot. It's a step down from last year, so you have a huge comparison point, and it's just sad. Like they win Worlds and everyone leaves, and I'm just like, please.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we have the play-in teams. Like we talk about them because we want them to do well. We want to see something interesting. We want to see them become like on the level of a major region. And then we're critical of them. We tell them they're not as good because it's just how it is, and we want them to do better. And we want a Gigabyte Marines with Levi level 6 Nocturne at 5 minutes.
That was one of the most hype matches I've ever watched with the playing team.
We want Kaboom. We want fucking.
I mean, I'm not sure you do want Kaboom. I feel like that.
NA wants Kaboom.
That team was trash, and they won.
Yeah, and Alliance was also getting trashed.
Yeah, the same team that went 17-0.
The greatest EU team of all time. Was what they told me? Actually, every year it's the greatest EU team of all time. We'll get into that later, but it's always the greatest EU team of all time.
So boom!
Getting better.
I guess the standards are just really low over there.
I'm still.
I'm just saying it's true. Every year it's always the greatest EU super team of all time.
Because
there's not been a single year.
Because we take the best players of last year and we put them with the newest best talent, and somehow they still choke. I don't know. Look, I
don't think G2 is going to choke.
Brexit, by the way, so I'm out of the European.
They're not going to choke because there's nothing to choke on. They have Promise Q going in. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed now.
Yeah. Yikes.
Wait,
I don't know if it's all the games. But...
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure like G2 like tweeted something like Promise Q will at least be starting or something. I don't know if he'll be playing all the matches. I know Mickey S is already not playing scrims, or he's not playing solo queue. He's playing some of the scrims. So he could come in, but it'll be like OMG with Dada 777 versus OMG with. Not Dada 777 back in the days.
San was the already carry.
No, San's the AD carry. The Cloud was the support.
All right, should we
the better one?
Go on to main stage.
Well, even we do want to talk about.
Before we do that, we still have one.
We haven't even talked about Group B.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
don't
right.
get ahead of yourself.
He's like, oh yeah, they
He's like,
exist.
finally, we
Yeah.
can talk about good. We're not there yet.
Hey, Vega's in there.
No,
man.
but I actually thought Vegas Squadron did relative. I mean, granted, they are playing the worst teams of the play-ins, but they showed like they've pretty much dumpstered both the games they played. They were just like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like, of course they have weakness, but like, just in points of the game where they're playing Shen Hecarim and just 4-man diving the mid laner at like 9 minutes or something. Just like, I want to get out the game and go to main stage, please. Next week,
Yeah.
let's go.
I think we will see Shen. I think Shen support's gonna be something that'll pop up. Seems pretty good.
Although, real quick before we like count out the rest of Group B, first of all, seeding was stupid, so I don't know how Group B is formed. But
it's Vega, Detonation Focus Me, Mega, and INTZ, right?
Mega, INTZ, yeah. So the reason why that group formed was because Mega is counted as a group, like A tier team, instead of a B pool B team when they were getting seeded. And the reason for that was because they were part of, when they did the seeding, they counted the results that Gigabyte Marines had or EVOS had back in the day before they split off the regions.
Okay.
Vietnam split off from that. That's why they were counted as a higher seed. That team has no result. That region has no results because it's new. So there's no reason they should be up there, but they had to use the grandfather rules. That's why this abomination of a pools of a group was formed. Just as a quick update. But DFM actually looked okay. Okay, I would say yes, Vega looked way better, but that was off of the back of a garbage Lee Sin play from their jungler, who is a Korean import. So like, if the Japanese players are the ones who are looking relatively solid, like Evie looks pretty good in my opinion, I think they can win the second match. It's just like Bongbu versus Fenerbahce. The first match, Fenerbahce looked kind of boosted, and the second match they looked quite decent. So like, I would give it until the second match, but I think that DFM could edge them out. I think that Vegas Squadron just looks super solid for now. So yeah, I think we should just talk about Vegas Squadron for the most part. Just wanted to give a little shout out to that team.
I for sure think that Vegas Squadron could find themselves like down a game or two coming in through play-ins, but I still think I see them at the top of the group. I mean, they're not a weak team. They're just not a fantastic one, right?
Yeah.
So, and the thing is that like, which team in Group B do we even think would beat Flash Wolves? Because I actually think Flash Wolves are weak as well.
I think Vega
Flash Wolves are weak, but
I think Vega could throw some weird draft stuff in a best of 5. Like they have a very diverse draft.
This is very true.
This is very true. You know, if you play Karthus, it doesn't matter if you're the worst team or not. Yeah. You can just press R and actually
just honestly, I'd love to see zeros on Karthus. You might actually make it work. That's how you do it. Throw out the Karthus top. Web backed.
There's 2 zeros. Right? There's zeros to the C and zeros to the C, right?
No, it's I think that one's Zeros. That's Zeros, but because there's an accent for some of the casters, it just sounds like zeros for both.
Okay.
Yeah, his is spelled with a C, and it's definitely not pronounced with a Z sound. At least in America, it's not. I don't know what's like in Britain, so
Zeros.
Oh, yeah, it's still not that close. So I think it's just probably the other EU casters or something said it that way.
That sounds pretty close to me.
Yeah, it sounds kind of either way.
Zeros.
Zeros.
Okay, fair.
I'm saying it with like an X when I say Zeros because it's otherwise like it's really confusing. Either way.
Either way, they're not going to match up against each other ever in this tournament, so it doesn't matter.
Are they not?
Well, no, they could.
Well, they could in the second place match.
Yeah.
Technically, if DFM makes
so if PBB loses and then what is it?
Detonation loses, and they'll match up.
They'll match up. Yeah, it could be zeros for zeros.
We'll see.
And then zeros still will kill zeros.
Let's go. Kind of want that now. Yeah. Damn. Here I was.
That's the hype. That's the hype. That's why I'm rooting for DFM.
I'm definitely on Vega. Vega looks hype. They look so interesting.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty damn good.
Heimerdinger bot? Yeah.
This is the team that goes on and beats Gambit, and I mean, if Gambit were here, I feel like they would be relatively high rated because it's Gambit, it's Diamond Proc. Sure, they don't have that veteranness, but this was the same team that
took C9 to Game 5 last year.
They did take C9 to Game 5, and that was with Edward Intian. They don't have Edward this year, so like they would be able to beat non-Intian support Gambit. I'm just saying, this is not a pushover team.
No,
I mean,
totally not.
It would appear to me that the future, if we're just going off like specific stats and what we've said so far without actually considering like matchups, if Team Liquid beat PvB and then we see Vega Squadron go through to Flash Wolves and actually lose, I think Vega has that game. I actually think that Vega Squadron beats PvB in the between interesting drafts. They have an inting top laner. I mean, I don't think that there's nothing specifically special about Vega Squadron's top laner that like outshines Caesarus in a solo kill kind of scenario, but a more comprehensive team. Both teams play or Vega play really aggressive. So, and interesting picks say that we could actually see Vega coming out on above PvB, which I didn't think. I've never foreseen. I actually thought that PvB were the strongest playing team. So I don't know. That's at least on paper. Obviously, that removes a lot of the actual analysis.
You know what I found interesting? Teams are not prioritizing Rek'Sai at all in the plans. Like, there's a couple of Rek'Sai games.
Vega played it like once, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, like the teams are not like in a lot of regions, Rek'Sai was like first pick, first ban sort of stuff, and we're not seeing it at all.
I think
it's pretty weird.
Well, that comes in from a lot of the teams played their playoffs on 9.6, and then they were drafting things like Aatrox mid, Lucian. They would ban either Jarvan or Rek'Sai, and then they would just pick like Lee Sin, Kindred, anything other than the Jarvan's Rek'Sai matchup because they just didn't want it. So we were seeing like really strange patch reads from these playing teams coming in anyway, which is why. But they kind of get to dictate the meta outside of like week one of main stage. So
right. I mean, even when all the other teams were doing their own meta in the major regions, for the most part, the playing teams just played their own meta, which like could be a byproduct of the whole play your own meta like mindset for the lower ranked teams, and I think that's fine. I just think that like don't be surprised starting as early as the playoffs, and especially main stage if the meta just completely shifts. It's like at the end of the day, it's the dominant team that decides the meta. IG last year single-handedly decided, okay, everyone's playing carries now, and the RNG style meta just died out at the quarterfinals. So it could happen, but I think that the playing team's meta should just be strictly the playing meta for now. And I think it is just surprising they didn't pick things like no one picked Sonatar except for DFM.
You know, I'm going to challenge you that. I actually think it was Vitality and Cloud9 that actually established the meta because we saw Invictus Gaming playing Duke on tanks in the group stage. And,
no, for sure. But in the playoffs, but they were putting them on tanks, and yet Vitality and C9 were playing that. So, but the shift didn't happen in the quarterfinals. Still, it was still like that meta.
No,
like the quarterfinals was still the old meta, except for IG, because RNG still played their meta. They didn't play carries on Shahu or Let Me at all.
Yeah, but IG, KT, and every team but RNG played carries. Whatever. This is last year.
Last year. We can discuss. we can just chat about it after the show. But you might be right. I'm trying to think of it. Anyway, let's quickly touch on Flash Wolves. We haven't said anything about Flash Wolves. We've talked about the team facing.
Right. Betty and Hanabi are good. That's all I got.
That's all, and ironically, that's all you need because unfortunately, this is the weakest version of Flash Wolves that we've seen. Their macro isn't bad, which is, to be fair, usually a lot of teams that come in, they have like reasonably good players, but like their big downfall is that they just don't know how to set up like objectives like Dragon, or they're kind of inting for Dragon and stuff. And Flash Wolves in their playoffs, they were very predictable, but like they're always setting up for Dragon ahead of time, so they're doing relatively the right things. Problem is that this is Flash Wolves without Sword Art, without Karsa, without Maple. Their mid laner is rather good, but he is he's Griffin's import. Not even he is a Korean import. He's on loan from Griffin.
Yeah, he's on loan.
Yeah.
On loan.
Although I imagine he'll probably be in the team for a while, to be honest, because he is their best player.
Chobi's looking too good too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's no reason that Griffin wants him back. I mean, it's a win-win for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, do I think that like stylistically, I don't think that they used to be a very aggressive team that did some not necessarily strange things, but like their bot lane was strong. Sword Art was a very, very good support, and I believe he was the shot caller for the team as well. That like pulled the team around, being able to make quick, decisive plays and being able to out macro Koreans which is obviously really hard. And he wasn't necessarily playing the Korean style, but they were like, all right, this is what we know the Korean will do, so let's do this play that keeps us in the game, edges us out, and they would take games off of some of the best Korean teams. That's not going to happen.
I miss that team so much, man.
That is not.
I mean,
no, go ahead.
The Korean kryptonite. Oh, so beautiful.
I mean,
yeah, I will. What's
I
up?
was gonna say no. Please take the fly. I'm just gonna ramble until somebody has something to say.
Well, yeah, just like looking at Flash Wolves. I mean, their solo laners have pop off potential. So, I definitely think like Hanabi in the top lane. He has a wide range. He can play a lot of carries. Pretty sure he can play tanks in previous metas. So Hanabi is really good. You know, you put Betty on a hyper carry, you put him in a team fight, he will do well. He does that pretty much every year on like Kaisa and stuff like that. So, you know, I do think Flash Wolves is going to beat whoever comes out of Group B. And I actually think they're not going to do terribly. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a game off of like randomly off of like G2 if they don't have Mickey X or TL or the other wildcard team. Hard to say they'll ever take a game off of the top two though, in SKT and IG. So,
unless the Korean killer buff comes up again, there's no reason they should be able to.
Injected into the heart of Flash Wolves themselves.
Yeah, this is the real test. Is it the Flash Wolf team environment that causes this, or was it that core? Because like without Karsa, Flash Wolves still look decent. Like MSI last year, Flash Wolves popped off, and Betty was considered like top 3 ADC there. And even at Worlds, they were one game away. Like Fumble Buffalo, like thank Mr. Buffalo.
Did I really disconnect? Oh my god!
You? No, we can hear
you. I can hear you fine.
You are here. I guess I was gonna say you couldn't hear us, but we could hear you.
It might have been a Discord side issue because I had that too. Yeah. So like I mean, last year Flash Wolves were one game away from getting out of that group, and G2 would have been stuck in groups. So like G2 would not have made that miracle run if it weren't for the fact that Fungwu Buffalo beat Flash Wolves last year, and this was inexperienced Fungwu Buffalo against, and so
that did happen.
With that in mind, though, if you think about it, if Flash Wolves somehow lost to Vaco Squadron and went to the second place match, that would be a really spicy matchup. Like Fungwu Buffalo is just literally 6 months, or not 6. Well, yeah, about 5 to 6 months of experience built on from last time, and they already won last time. At least the match that counted. I think they went 1-1 in groups.
Yeah,
but
I believe so.
They still shut down their World's hopes and then broke up that team forever. So
yeah,
the narrative.
I think that also if you watch let's reality check real quick. Flash Wolves was second seed. Let me double check, but as I'm double checking, I'm pretty sure Flash Wolves was second seed going to playoffs. And that's against fucking Mad Team. Okay, you remember Mad Team at Worlds, don't you? You remember what kind of garbage ass plays?
Same Mad Team,
like
trash.
Same.
More like bad team.
That's
easy joke.
That's just enough of a power ranking for me to know coming in. Like maybe they powered up in the playoffs, and like some teams do that. Like Team Liquid powers up in the playoffs, but getting second behind that iteration of Mad Team, which did not change a lot going to playoffs, and they were only 9-5. Okay, so even if they lost, let's just say they got 2-0 by Mad Team, they were still losing 3 matches to random LMS teams that have been mostly gutted, and the league might get shut down. So this team, I think, is going to lose to Vegas Squadron. I think it could be close because like they have solid pieces. Like Betty is. Hello?
No, you're here. We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I froze. Chrome froze. Betty is still good, quite good. His supports, it's not very memorable, not bad or good in my opinion. And then I don't even know who their jungler is anymore.
Yeah,
it's the jungler is Boogie.
That guy's new. I'm pretty sure they did not have Boogie last year.
They have 2 junglers. And I'm pretty sure Boogie, I think they switch them around, but Boogie is their main one.
Yeah. So I actually just think Vegas Squadron has more options to take them out in a best of 5. If this was a group stage, I would super favor Vegas Squadron. I just think it's going to be close because it's a best of 5. And you have to keep in mind, historically, Flash Wolves has gotten all these upsets and all these like relatively strong performances because that team and that core has been together almost forever together at international levels against like SKT, like world champion SKT. They've gone through so much shit. So like a lot of people drop off when you're at like a high pressure situation or a high pressure like playoff series because they don't have that veteranship. So but teams like Team Liquid and the old Flash Wolves would always have that at least in their pocket. Well, the players on Team Liquid, not the Team Liquid. Yeah, Team Liquid doesn't have that history. So this Flash Wolves is just way too different. I think that losing 2 core players like that, as well as having a Korean top laner who's looked like shit until playoffs, at least is what the casters say. I did not watch their regular season, to be fair. And the jungler did not look good. I just think that Vega Squadron is favored. We could be totally wrong. Flashless could just 3-0 them again, but
I personally, I think that's gonna happen. I think Flash was gonna 3-0 Vega, but whatever.
I'll put my bet on Vega Squadron.
I think I'd also put my bet on Vega. Not in a 3-0. I'd be surprised to see any of the
not in a 3-0.
I'd be surprised to see any of the playing games. Well, going into groups, go 3-0, just because I think that the 2 strongest teams coming from play-ins are reasonable enough to, once they're on, if they were both just put in a group stage immediately, I'd expect to see them take games, like, not win, not like dominate, not sit at the top of the group, but I definitely, like, if you throw Fangvu and Vega just in a group with Liquid and G2, I'm like, yeah, and even Flash with me, yeah, they could totally take games. I don't see that as completely unruly.
I think Vega for sure could take games, and they have such weird drafts.
Yeah, no, Vega plays. I think they play their style of like aggression very well. And granted, I think that it's a double-edged sword, right? You can lose on over aggression. Good teams like punish that really hard, but at least they're playing to an aggressive style as opposed to just being really passive and just losing and trying to out macro when you don't. When you just can't, it's usually not going to happen. Your region and like your players don't have that kind of like practice or environment to do that. So at least they're doing something like crazy and actually trying to be. I mean, it's like it's basically Vega Squadron this year are Vitality from Worlds, and
Can I give you guys the spiciest timeline?
Please do.
So Team Liquid loses to Fangwu Buffalo.
I'm on board.
Vega Squadron loses to Flash Wolves.
Okay.
And then Vega beats Team Liquid with Heimerdinger bot lane.
That is, and when you say spiciest, I feel that's a funny way to spell the best timeline, but that's the timeline that I'd love to be in. I would love it so much.
I think that's...
Is it gonna happen?
Improbable.
No.
Yeah, probably improbable.
Okay, if Team Liquid, mark my words, if Team Liquid drops to the second place match or whatever, like the losers match, and they still get out from that, like I don't, it doesn't matter anymore. Like you losing to Fangwu Buffalo means you're irrelevant at the tournament, unless you pull a C9 and somehow make semis after almost losing to a play-in team.
But if you improve, because it's a new match.
You got to sandbag to get better. You put the training weights on. You go, damn. Oh, whoa! I'm 2-10 on Aurelia. Like I'm not gonna actually. Everyone's gonna.
Right?
No one's gonna ban out my Aurelia when I get to the best of 5 because they're like, oh, he's trash, and then it gets through every game.
Just give it to him.
Gets through every game.
Yeah, sure. And then lose to Bombers so that you have to play a tiebreaker match.
Yeah, so you get more practice.
Yeah, I mean, also another thing to keep in mind for Vega Squadron, all these players are rookies, not in terms of their league, but in terms of the international stage. None of these players have ever shown up at a. I'm pretty sure none of these players have ever shown up as a CIS representative
in
the history of their. So, like, you could think of them as a Griffin style team, like it's just a bunch of people who just come together and like finally take down the veterans and like dominate the league, which is like kind of insane in that sense. But also, you've seen Griffin, so like at a high pressure match, like it's scary. They don't play like Griffin, and they draft creatively and actually execute on it, so that's a plus. But I will say that it is scary because we just don't know where their limits are, and they're not really getting hard tested. Like DFM like survived for a couple of minutes and then fell over, sadly. Well, Lee Sin fell over, but he's part of DFM, so
it's true.
I mean, Evie was 3-1-2 on Vladimir. He looked good on Vladimir.
Steel was looking very bad.
Steel was
not great.
Really, I could make a bad joke, but I'm not gonna say
the thing is that you see, like, if DFM do actually make it out of groups instead of Vega Squadron, which is plausible at least. Problem is that they have Steel. I mean, maybe he's not going to have that. Like, if he has the, I was going to say, aptitude to have that performance once, then better teams are just going to like run all over him again. So, like,
DFM. Who did he steal the starting position from, man? Damn,
clever.
A Japanese player.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Oh no.
Oh man, I don't know. It's rough. I mean, it could just be a bad game from him. It's
Oh,
also
but
his second time
potentially.
ever internationally. I think he was the jungle last time around too.
I don't think so.
All right.
I think it was an all Japanese.
Should we lock in our predictions?
Yeah, let's lock it in.
Let's throw some predictions out. All right.
All right, so Group A or the
yeah,
Group A playoffs: Fangbu Buffalo versus Team Liquid. I'm going with Team Liquid.
3-0 TL.
I also think it's 3-0. I don't think it'll be close. Even if it could be a 3-1, but I'm not going to bet on it. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's plausible.
I'm voting with my heart and not with my brain because coming into the preview, I was really high on this Fangbu Buffalo team. 3-2 Fangbu Buffalo, and I know that's not a realistic one, but hey.
Let's go.
I mean, Gigabyte Marines took that TSM to Game 5.
So I want to see the best of 5. Let's go PVB. Thank you, thank you,
right.
Mr. Buffalo.
I'll keep that in mind next time we do a show after the playoff stage. All right, and then Group B.
Oh, Vega Squadron. 3-1.
Yeah, I'm with Vega.
3-1.
Oh wow. I mean, I'm thinking like a 3-1 as well, Vega. But I thought one of you guys was going Flash Wolves.
Oh no! Vega's getting out of the group because we don't know who's getting out of the group yet. But then Flash Wolves 3-0.
Yeah. I definitely think.
Oh, okay. So you're okay. That bait is.
You got me, dude. I was like, damn.
I was like, did we just hit him? Holy shit.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Damn, changed my mind.
Yeah, I did. I think Vega 3-1 is very easily, well, not easily, but very reasonable in terms of like. I don't think this Flash Wolves team are outright better. So honestly, it could go either way. But at the same time, whoever gets like the first 2 games is probably just going to win the series. The only reason I would say it goes to 4 games is just because it could very easily go like back and forth, and then whoever gets that second win, it's like that's it, right? I don't see these teams having the fortitude to like bounce back from like a 2-0 deficit. So
I can see Betty popping the fuck off, dude.
I could see him popping the fuck off in the second place match.
Yeah.
I think this time around, while yes, PvB did beat the stronger version of Flash Wolves last year at Worlds, I think that this year's Zeros just looks way worse, and he was a key part in dismantling Hanabi. So I think that if Zeros comes back to form, but I'm gonna bet on what I saw, and what I saw was seven games of
Int.
Yeah, like, I mean, yes, he looked okay against the worst teams, right? Like the really bad bottom 2 teams, but he still lost to Bombers. And I think he was a key reason. In all their losses, he was a key reason. That's a big problem. Your superstar player can never be that position.
No, that's true.
Your superstar player cannot carry the game in your losses, like, not be enough, but he should never be the heavyweight. Like, we never talk about Bjergsen, except at maybe one World showing. We never talk about Bjergsen as, like,
I know.
This guy is the reason they lost, right? This guy is the reason that they lost multiple games. We've never heard that sentence. You might be like he picked Cho'Gath mid against like UOL or something, or got mid or whatever, and you're like, okay, he didn't do a lot, but he wasn't the reason they lost. They thought that they could make the pick work.
No. UOL at IEM, he picked Xerath into LeBlanc, and he fed Power of Evil and Power of Evil.
But it was one game. That was one drafting error.
Hey, you said you've never heard the sentence Bjergsen lost the game. I'm pretty sure you lost
that. I said for multiple games. Like because Zeros lost, in my opinion, those 3 losses, a lot of it was on Zeros' back. Or 2 losses? 2 losses, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
It's just rough. And
I remember the Worlds game that I blame Bjergsen for. Oh my god, I remember the exact moment. It's 2016, 2015 Worlds. Basically the last time TSM were at Worlds. And he picks Oriana, and they're playing around the Dragon Pit, and he like throws his Q over the wall, and then walks into the pit, and everyone walks into the bush, and everybody's there, and he ults like nothing. He could have just killed everyone.
There's the 2016 Hanser play where he's about to get the flank as Kennen, and he pussies out and just sits there watching the RNG walk over them. And I'm like, did Mata pay him off? Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
I think it's just the TSM thing. TSM always finds a way to have heartbreaking.
They get right into the good one.
Or Svenskeren when he like inted into SKT's jungle like 3 times in a row. I remember that one. That was painful.
Mr. Svenskeren.
If only TSM.
Anyway, so my vote for the potential second place match, if it's PvB versus Flash Wolves, I vote Flash Wolves. If it's PvB versus Vega Squadron, I also go with Vega.
Interesting.
I just think PvB loses in either scenario.
I think if PvB are against Flash Wolves, I give the game to PvB. If it's against
Okay.
Vega, I give the game to Vega. If it's against Team Liquid, uh,
I'll
if
be
it's-
out
if
of it.
it's
I will
team-
be off. I'll be on
if
break
it's
for the
Team
week.
Liquid, if the third place match is Team Liquid versus anyone, I'm sorry, Team Liquid, you're going hunt. No, Team Liquid would. If Team Liquid somehow find themselves in that match, they'll win.
Yeah,
they'll win. But you know,
Yeah.
but in
We'll be like, wait, we underestimated
Yeah.
these
If
guys. We
Steve
actually
has to
play.
rent fucking Faker for one best of 5 to save his team from dropping out of a tournament.
Yeah.
They have experience. They know what to do.
Steve's got that money. He'll just pay all the teams
Yeah,
off.
Koma will go on stage. It's like, yeah, Team Liquid's friends of ours, and we just wanted to help a brother out. And Riot's like, yeah, Team Liquid has
Yeah.
big money. We'll let the loan just go off.
Push the money across the stage.
Does
Yeah.
no one really just question the fact that Double has saved my team from relegations back in like 2016,
Yeah,
or
just
17? Like I
randomly.
still don't. To this day, it's so sketchy to me.
Just pay for the best
Yeah.
AD carry in the league. Just
We should-
randomly.
Yeah, we should throw in the asterisk though that like we haven't seen Flash Wolves play, and like we don't watch their region very much.
Well,
like
I watched their playoffs, and I know that looking at the team, because when we did a preview, we had quite a bit to talk about Flash Wolves, and I do think that they're, despite them being good, I do think Hanabi's good. I do think Betty's good. Like, it's hard pressed without them, without seeing their adaptation to this new patch, and more importantly, them not playing a game is a weakness. Like, not having a chance to play a game before these other teams means they're going to be slower to start in a competitive environment. Being able to play more games just more recently usually edges you out most of the time. So
Yeah, unless you're a
Yeah.
one-trick team, then they can
It's
find
just-
you out. But thankfully, Vega
Yeah.
isn't.
it's just like we don't really know what's gonna happen. Honestly, like the Flash Wolves versus Vega one is like I'm just saying Flash Wolves. It's a total toss up for me. Anything realistically happen.
for sure, those teams are certainly
yeah.
closer match than any. That'll
TL.
be a very competitive best of 5 for sure. Compared to
I think TL
watching
versus Fangbu
Team
Buffalo
Liquid
has a
get
chance to
wiped.
be.
Wiped
Yeah,
before.
very.
Double lifts
very-
there. Double lifts sitting in his chair like, damn. If only I was still on TSM. This Team Liquid team's shit. Smithy's not even a good jungler. Go back to Vulcan,
Oh,
dude.
man.
Like,
Throw in the flame already. Back to Vulcan too. Not even CLG. Vulcan. Damn.
Down. Double Lift said it. Double Lift said it, not me. I don't even know what. I don't.
There's just some things you don't say, man.
All right, main stage.
Smithy's
Main stage. Let's
fantastic.
talk about it.
Main stage, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I only want to touch upon it briefly, but because I think we'll end up doing an episode on main stage after playoffs when we know what teams are actually going to be in main stage. But
let's talk about Promise Q.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Promise.
I was gonna say I at least want, since me and Kevin kind of already have predictions on how we feel the group stages are gonna go. I'd like to hear how you
Right.
feel about the what's your strongest team coming into groups, Mitchell?
Definitely IG. Victus
Thank you.
Gaming is like definitely the strongest team, in my opinion. Not even like individually matchup to SKT, probably similar. I think the Shy is better than Khan by a bit, maybe. I don't even know. I think Clid is a really good jungler, but and Ning is really good, but he's like the guy where it's like I will take this 50-50. I will literally flip the coin, like call my bluff. And Clid is more of like I don't know, he'll play make, but he doesn't make like the baboon plays that Ning makes sometimes. So there's something interesting. I think Faker and Rookie, I just have no idea. They're both so insane. I have no idea who's gonna win
Definitely
that.
hard to
Like
tell.
yeah, definitely hard to tell. Like we haven't seen them play against each
In
other
a hot minute.
in like so
3 years?
long since they were both
2015?
LGN. Yeah, maybe.
4 years.
And I think
Jeez.
that was the time KT won. KT Arrows won
Yeah.
the final or semifinal. I forgot the matchup, but I know that KT won. That was one
It's
of
been at least like 4+ years, maybe. But they're both obviously insane. The bot lane, I think Teddy and Mada are definitely the best bot lane in the tournament. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Jackie Love is insane, dude. Alon's insane. I think.
If you're talking about like skill level and consistency wise, it's definitely Teddy and Mata for me. But for
yeah,
like I've seen Jackie Love and Battleland pop off so hard against literally KT. So
Yeah.
where Mata was playing, and they look. I think Deft is a better player than Teddy, but this is controversial. I think Deft is better than Teddy if you're just talking about like someone I can rely on in a high pressure setting. I think Teddy is insane on SKT, but he also doesn't have to carry too much of the slack anymore.
I
So
think Teddy's the
because
best.
it's only because Teddy's also the rookie on the team, like in terms of like a rookie to an international level. If you're actually talking about like potential, like Teddy's going to be better than Deft,
Yeah.
unless he falls off a cliff like Name did. He should be
Rest
better
in
than.
peace, Name.
Dude, Name sucked. Holy cow.
But don't bet on a rookie at an international event. Is what I'm thinking, personally.
A rookie, not the rookie.
Yeah. I always bet
on the rookie. I mean, rookie has powered up in those 4 years since he was in Korea, and Faker is still Faker, but like he already could handle Faker back then. I think it's at worst like just like a wash in mid lane. I don't think it's going to be a stompy.
I ultimately give it to IG because I do think the LPL region as a whole was just a lot stronger than Korea this year. I think Korea had, Griffin was really cool, Kingzone was pretty cool, but Danwon Gaming and Sandbox, they were all right, but they kind of like didn't live up to the hype as I thought they were. And I really think the LPL teams like Top, JDG was a big surprise. Suning.
Suning was supposed to be the super team, but they still looked okay. There was FPX, RNG.
FPX, yeah. So I really do think LPL as a region just as soon as they won Worlds, it really felt like the whole region leveled up. Watching their games, it's just complete insanity. The mechanics, I mean, they do kind of throw macro out the window and just fucking team fight, but they're still insane. So yeah, it's IG for me, and then SKT is number 2. I was gonna say G2 is number 3 if they had EX.
Yep, that's what we were all saying.
Yeah.
I just don't know though. With Promise Q, I think he's so bad. I'm sorry.
I agree. The problem is that I think
I don't think anyone's feelings are hurt.
I think that Promise Q is so bad that he genuinely pulls down the strengths that this G2 team has because, you have Caps, fantastic mid laner. Yeah. You've got Wonder, fantastic top laner. Jankos is certainly like for a long time like dominant in EU, but not able to win. And it wasn't until last year's Worlds he really like had a good international showing. Yeah. So I think that
his Karthus is nutty.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, dude, my Karthus is nutty, and I'm in like plat, so you know.
Dude,
like,
if I was on GT, I could probably play Karthus, sadly. That much pressure.
But I don't think nothing about Jankos screams like that he's consistent at international and that he's going to be like this amazing jungler. He will be good, but will he be fantastic compared to the likes of, I mean, Xmithy's here, Ning and Clade are just going to outplay him. So he's hard pressed to be the best jungler at this tournament.
I mean, he's already been outplayed by Ning before, so.
And then you move to the bot lane and you go, dude, Perks is like a wild card, but he's definitely proven really good like showings with mage, being able to play mages in the bot lane and then occasionally playing some AD carries. How is he going to... He's been playing against EU AD carries, like... Forgiven and like Freeze are like our best out like EU ADCs ever, and most European AD carries suck. They're not that good, right? Like we had like Steel.
If Reckless can't punish him, it's
don't talk to me about Reckless, dude. That guy's trash.
He can't punish anybody. Yeah.
So already, I don't think that Perks is going into this tournament favorably because despite being a fantastic player, he has to play against Teddy in that lane. He has to play against Jackie Love. He has to play against Double Lift. And that's without even considering the supports that they're playing with. Armada, one of the best supports ever. Baolan, current world champion. Core JJ, former world champion.
Probably one of the best supports now in the world.
Oh yeah, dude. And who did you get? You might as well have pulled out some dude from like Diamond Flex Q. Like you got Promise Q, the dude that literally had to change. He's one of the like 5 League of Legends players that had to change their name because they were so trash. Dude, he's in that. He's the best. Like
he's in the god beast
the best thing that the best thing Promise Q has about him. And I'm sorry, dude. There's like maybe you can show up and like prove people wrong, but the best you're gonna do is probably have like a decent performance. I mean, hey, I'd love to be blown out of the water and have G2 be like, dude, look at how good we are. Like, Mickey X, like, somehow put his brain in Promise Q's body and now he's nuts. Like, it's not going to happen.
Dude, Mickey X is just so good. It's like, when you like downgrade like that, it's like the reverse. It's like going from Jensen to pole belter, or like Core JJ
Yeah, but
to
I think
Ole.
Paul
It's
Belt
like,
is consistent and like does what
Poor
Paul
JJ Ole.
Belter does what he
okay,
needs to
Core JJ
do.
to Ole.
Mickey X is just the best mechanical support in Europe, and
He's godlike. He's so
he
good.
needs that's what Perks needs in that lane to keep him safe from being. So Perks can do whatever he wants if his support is nuts, and therefore Perks can accentuate his like ability to play the game like a goddamn madman. But he's not going to do that with Promise Q, so we're not going to see the Perks that you'd expect, and therefore the bot lane's so weak that they
Perks
get ran over.
sucks in lane. I'm just gonna say that much. Perks
Also,
is.
Also, real quick, just because we're apparently sounding like the Mickey X fan club, I think that personally, even if Mickey X was here, Mickey X is not a new player. He's been around this block. He's been on Splice. He's been on other teams before for a while now, and he's always looked good. I think he's always been a good support, and he's looked great on G2. But they're like, it's easy to look great on a super dominant team like that, who are like playing all these different styles, like just being nutty all the time. I think that even if Mickey X was here, I think at best G2 could only be like considered second best team at the tournament.
Oh,
maybe
for sure.
so.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I would put it on third.
It's just the difference between, to me, it's like very solidly the difference between a third place and like contender for winning, or a fourth place and not a contender for winning between the two players. I don't think they're the favorites either way.
I feel like I don't want to be the Mickey X fan club. I want to be the Promise Q hate club, which is horrible. Oh no! But I just I can't overstate how disappointing it is to have a European super team. Ooh, they're every year. Our yearly European super team come in weaker than they should be because they actually have a very good team and a defined play style that they like. It's just gonna throw the team itself is already thrown off kilter, right? And it's not like we don't know G2 has they're the type of team that just goes, it's MSI, vacation, so on and so forth,
EU always has an excuse, so that's all right.
Yeah, but that's not me. That's not me being like, damn, my team's going to lose. That's me being upset that they now have an out because I want to see them do well. Now they're just they're just going to be like, oh, dude, it's whatever. It's MSI. Like, oh, well, fine. If it's MSI, I hope Caps enjoys his vacation. See you at Worlds when you're getting dumpstered by Rookie again.
And I'm sure, like, just to make sure viewers know, like, we're not saying it's Promise Q's fault. Like, it's literally, he didn't like break Mickey X's
just come in with the hammer, like,
you're like, I need to be playing. No, like he's.
I mean, it's his fault he's not better.
That's true, but he also didn't ask to be signed to this scenario.
Yeah, but he did.
But he would take
find a better sub.
Of course, he would.
Yeah.
To be fair,
I mean,
any human being would be like, "Yeah, I'll play MSI for G2." Fuck
we literally have like a direct comparison. Like, Cadian stepped in, and he at least looked pretty good. Like, I would say, like,
dude, he like defined
above his weight class. Yeah. He like redefined like this year's TSM, and maybe TSM could have been better with like New Greg, but like at least from what we've seen, Cadian looked good. If Promise Q could do even half of that, he would be serviceable. But I don't think he's done even half of that. In the last games during the regular split when they played him, I was just like, oh please no.
Oh, no.
Like the games didn't matter. Like,
so it's
both TL and G2 games didn't matter, and they showed it in their gameplay. But like either way,
he didn't look good, man. He did not look good.
Yeah, so I feel bad for Perks. I think that G2 is just unfortunate. I do think that even then, this version of G2 beats Vega Squadron because I think they're just a better Vega Squadron. They literally can't do that flexibility, but they just have like Perks versus Vega Squadron's ADC, whose name the guy who can play Karthus and Heimerdinger, Gadget. Gadget. That's actually a really fitting name for a Heimerdinger player. Anyways, he can play a bunch of shit in bot lane. Like, Perks is just better at that. Perks is a literal mid laner coming down to play against your mid lane flex characters. So like, I'm sorry. Like, unless this guy used to be a mid main, I just don't see how. Even if he was a mid main, like, I'm pretty sure CIS scrims with EUS, and I'm pretty sure Perks is one of the best EUS players. Period.
Yeah, 100%.
So. Other than like Caps, like you could argue Caps, but like other than Caps, like
it was argued that
I think Perks is better than Caps in terms of like who I would rely on personally.
Yeah. But, dude. Perks in mid lane is like S+ tier for me, man. Yeah. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so Perks in ADC is like A- B+, unfortunately.
Yeah. He's good enough for. He's better than Yarden. He would have been if it was just
another Heimerdinger bot lane player, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Harden. Yeah. I don't know if he's better than Harden. I'm not gonna lie, man. Harden was
dude. Beat Uzi, by the way.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's something Double can't say. That's true. I'm sorry, Double. Someday.
Uzi,
so
Right.
Vegas
Yeah.
Lab and then Liquid.
Liquid,
I
which-
think Liquid beats this form of G2. It's going to be really close, but I think that if it comes down to it in 2 matches, they might go 1-1, but Liquid would look better. Just because Promise Q is so much worse than Core JJ, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And I think as far as like, star power side, I think Perks and Double are both superstars, but sadly one of them's a lane swap. So maybe at Worlds this year, this G2 like Perks could match up to Double in some ways, in terms of like flexibility. But unless they pull off some really crazy drafts and throw Double off kilter, which he has a history of not being good against off meta matchups.
Yeah.
I just think Double is a better AD carry player.
I think Doublelift is definitely in the respective role. Doublelift is just he's just more comfortable. You give Doublelift a winning matchup, he will push it. He will like literally like solo carry the game. Like I don't know if you guys watched the Team Liquid like their video series or whatever.
Yeah, I watch it. Yeah.
You watched it? Yeah, Doublelift was literally like, I'm like, give me first pick Varus and I will carry this third game.
Yeah,
And then
like this was like the deciding match. He's like, give me first pick bars. I want to have kill pressure. I can carry this. Like,
and then he did it. Like that's some man
big
leadership
balls,
stuff.
dude.
Right
Like he just sat down. He's like, everyone knows this will be my fault if we lose this, but I think I can win this for everyone. He followed through. Like Sven played with Perks, right? They never was lane swap Sven and Perks for a reason. Sven was a good AD carry in Europe, at least. Granted,
he definitely fell off, man. He's not as good.
It's just hard to be a good player on a bad team. That's what I'm saying. Like I think, and I'm not saying TSM is a really bad team. I'm saying compared to that G2, it's a bad team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Broken Blade and Acadian versus old
versus what Expect and Trick.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I mean, Trick is pretty good. I don't think Expect was ever godlike though.
Expect was
Broken Blade, I think,
reliable,
has a really high.
I think
Broken Blade's a better carry.
Get him on his gang
Yeah,
plan, guys.
but I'm pretty sure Zen and Mithy also played with one other group of jungle top, or was it always Expect and Trick before they moved?
They went OG.
Yeah, they play.
They had Soaz and Amazing.
The OG
yeah.
version of Sven and Mithy were like fantastic. Probably best bot lane in the West at the time.
Dude, that was like when they played fucking Kalista all game, and Sven was a god in Kalista.
Kalista was broken.
Yeah.
Woof.
Kalista was still
but
what it is.
Either way, I think that TL is favored. I don't think it will be like lopsided per se, but I think TL is favored coming in based on the strength they show. They could look like garbage in play-ins, but I think Team Liquid should beat Promise QG2. That's just.
I think Wonder is gonna spank Impact and Smithy. Wonder is gonna have a 1v2. Not gonna lie.
We say that every year, though. We say that every year Impact goes as C9's top laner or Team Liquid's top laner, but we've never seen Impact literally get spanked by anyone. Like he might not look amazing, but he's never gotten spanked. Like,
I'm sure we could find a game where he's gotten spanked.
Okay, but like as like his whole performance. Sorry, yeah. Like I'm sure there's like a 1-off or 2-off matches, but like for the most part, he does his job. He is a former world champion player.
Impact is a solid he's a pressure soak. He can play a lot.
He deserves pressure.
He usually plays a lot.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, the narrative is always, but Impact is a scary point for C9 or scary point for whatever, and then we get like a top die meme or just Impact just plays a tank on a not tank meta and wins the game off engage. It's like he's a really good player.
Impact is solid.
Wonder,
one of the best NA players that they've got right now.
Wonder is really good. I agree. I'm just saying that
1v9 player. You put him on Aurelia or Rise or Akali, and I think he will be 1v3ing.
Yeah,
like
he should be really good, but I think Smithy should be able to cover for him. I'm just thinking that it's because the top lane is not a 1v1 role.
I'm gonna have to
anymore.
I'm gonna have to shoot myself in the foot and say that I agree, because I think Team Liquid just beat this version of G2. European pride.
Really?
Wow, I'm super surprised that you would say. I mean, okay, we already had a
I'm gonna say if you do recall, I thought that once we knew that Promise Q was coming in, I think this version of G2 significantly downgrades, and it's not.
Yeah,
and it's not because of their players. It's at least my idea comes from like a form of mentality. So think about you guys being in the G2 house. You fly over to Korea, you're like, oh yeah. By the way, Mickey X just isn't playing any of these scrims or Korean solo queue. We're playing with the sub that we brought, and Caps is like, all right, it'll be fine, right? We play a couple of scrims, you lose every one of them, you don't win any games, or maybe you do, but it's very unlikely that you're gonna win any of these scrims. You start to try new things, you lose all of them. You lose all your confidence in being able to play any of these wild card picks, because you're only picking these things because you're at the top of the league and like better players than everybody. They need to have the confidence that they have with Promise Q that they have with Mickey X, which is very unlikely because they know they're coming in slightly weaker.
Right.
You need to be able to just You got to understand that your competition is better than when you were at the top. Now you're kind of middle of the pack. So teams that are better than you, you know you're not going to beat them. So that's where you maybe try even harder with these weird things. But like, is it really going to work out? Like, probably not. So you
Be hype if it does, but I'm not
but
gonna bet
exactly.
on it.
So you feel like the only teams you can beat are teams that you are now basically on par with, because you should have technically been on par with because it's NA first seed and playing teams. But you go, we have our worst. Like we have literally one of the worst supports we could possibly think of, but I'm sure it'll be fine, right? Because we're nuts. If you lose even one of those games at the start of group stages, your confidence goes boom. How do you even play any of those games? These players haven't particularly shown. Their mental isn't like amazing. Europe's have terrible mental, consistently.
This is true.
And Cap's fantastic player, but his mental is so bad that he lost the finals and he left his team. He's like, this team is trash. Couldn't even beat the best team in the world, so he just left and went to a different team.
Yeah, I couldn't be rookies. Jungle difference.
Like, and I actually think maybe Perks has relatively good mental, but he's in a new role. He's with a worse support. Yankos has bad mental. He's a consistent choker. I don't really know about Wunder. To be honest, Wunder might be the one player that has fantastic mental, considering he was a lot of the reason that they won that RNG series. Like, he kind of won V9'd. But what the hell's Wunder gonna get to do in this game? Like, that on these games? Like,
also, Wunder can't really play tanks as well either, as a lot of the tank.
Just put him on Aurelia, dude.
Yeah, but
I see Wunder on Aurelia.
Tanks are meta again. Like, Aurelia is gonna get matched out by like Nautilus or something like that, and it's kind of like, maybe
we haven't been seeing Nautilus top at all. Yeah, so maybe.
We've seen the Aurelia Nautilus match up mid, so I mean, if any team, like, IG could flex all over them with any carries or tanks. Like, it's going to be... Duke just comes in and Wonder's like, come on.
Not even going to play the Shy on tanks. Just better than you.
The Shy is decent on certain tanks, too. He's not a tank player, but he's a lot better than Khan on tanks. So,
dude, the Shy on Scion, solo killing ADCs, man. What is that?
I mean, it was a sick play, but for the most part, his tank play is good. It's much better than most top laners, and I think better than... Like, other than Impact and Wunder. Well, not Wunder's tanks. Yeah, I think it's just worse than Impact, but I think this guy is probably the second best tank top laner here at the tournament.
Just because he's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's just so good.
I wanna say this G2 team shows up, and it's not improbable, or it's not impossible, but it is improbable because
right. I think it's improbable
because like I just feel like there's so many contributing non-factors outside of the game.
But you think they're fourth, right? Above potential Vega, Flashbulbs.
I mean, maybe Vega take a game, but I don't see it. Like, I don't see it. I just think that I think so. If Vega come into this groups and like they play that, I actually think that the style that Vega plays is the style that's the one where they can take a game off anyone, right? Albus Nox Luna took a game off the Rocks Tigers in 2016. That kind of like G2. That G2.
I mean, the wild cards are consistently taking games off of the top EU, NA, and even Korean teams, like at least once in a while.
So I do think it's possible that, like, with a good aggressive like forefront and being able to play that, you know, it's not like these are like average teams coming in going, oh, let's just pick all aggressive champions and int. This is that's the style that they play predominantly. They do have a good chance of taking games off. Like, Vega could probably take a game off of Liquid or G2, in a best of one, but. But you know, in a consistent best of 5 or just generally across the board, this G2 team are fourth. Somehow taking the kick from Liquid.
I say they're still third. I definitely say they're still third. I think they're.
Well, it's good that we disagree. It's just more interesting.
It is potentially. I am potentially underrating Caps and Wunder as general strength as solo laners because they are, like, if you just remove their factor of like the Mickey X scenario, Caps is probably the third best mid laner at this tournament. And arguably like second if you think that, you know, he isn't behind Rookie but could be even though Rookie like dumpstered him.
Rookie's so much better.
It wasn't over several games. It was like I feel like it was fairly back and forth until Caps kind of went on top.
Even in the group stage, Rookie was outplaying Caps.
I think if you look at the laning phase, only the laning phase, Caps was a worse player than the Rookie. I think Caps came back in a lot of those games and went back and forth between the group stage. But especially in like the finals, Caps was outclassed. It was just like his mental could not hold on, and Rookie is the kind of guy who doesn't buy an item twice now in his career in the last year. and he still wins the game. Like he'll come into lane as LeBlanc, game 5 against KT. It's like, okay, we won.
Yeah.
Like that's insane mental. Like there's no one. I don't think there's another League player in the game who has that kind of mental. I've never seen that kind of mental rebound.
There's also a thing like with Rookie that you don't see with Caps is like there's also Faker too. Rookie and Faker and also Beard too. They early pick their mid lane matchups and they say we will take the counter pick. We will get counter picked for our team. I don't see that happening for Caps as much. Like,
well, that's because Fnatic babied him a lot.
He's also
I don't think they do as much in G2.
He was also a rookie coming in, and their star player. So you're not really. Bjergsen's the star player, but Bjergsen also is the shot caller and centerfold of TSM. So he kind of.
Yeah.
And in certain matchups against Fnatic, Rookie also got the last pick. Like they would save that last pick.
Yeah, true. So, but I still feel like, you know, when your star player is not only your best player and he takes your early draft pick, I think that's like
100%. That's like
just
the fantastic, like just the next level of players because you see these like Fake is just like, yeah, dude, you know what? I think I'll just play Galio, and then he just carries the game.
Counter pick.
I think Wonder is the second best top tier. I actually think he's better than Khan.
I agree.
Really?
Yeah, come on, dude. Let's think.
I give Khan no value in my mind. This man has literally never shown up at any tournament he's ever gone to at an international level. He barely shows up in his own league. He literally gets solo killed by Sword as like fucking Riven into Aatrox. It was Aatrox.
Khan is the Zeros.
Khan's like a better Zeros. That's how I see.
Oh no.
No, because like here's the narrative. He dominated his region. He's stopping. He's playing carries when no one else is playing carries. He's just so good. He goes to his first tournament. Where was Khan? Oh, I don't know. And then he literally sees an Aatrox at 400 or 500 health after the full red bar revive. And he's at 100 health on Riven. He's like, I can do this. He dashes in, and then he just dies.
This'll make for a great highlight.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
You're right, it did.
Meanwhile, Teddy, Mata, Faker, Clit are like, okay, we got this. Don't worry. No, don't mind it.
4v5 teams.
Damn, you've actually convinced me. Holy crap.
PvP versus SKT. Who takes it? Let's go.
I just think it shows how powerful narratives can be in like even for us, just like us plebs. Like literally, you just hear Khan's a god, and you're like, oh yeah, he's a god, and then you watch his games, you're like, when's the last time he was a god? Like unless they're stopping the other team.
Like he does have his int moments, but like Khan is a mechanical like fucking monster, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. He just happens to be at a tournament with the Shine Wonder. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, you could argue Khan's better mechanically than the Wonder, but you can't argue that his reliability.
Yeah,
Wonder's straight probably like the best top laner Europe's ever seen. Better than Soaz, who's just one of the had that mantle.
Yeah.
Because he does what Soaz does, but better. Where like his team's losing and he's trying to figure out how to like win in an international tournament. He's like, oh dude, split pushing, and then he just perfectly split pushes for and keeps his team in the game for an unnecessary amount of time. Like lives in the outplay. Like maybe he doesn't always get the kill, but he'll live in the outplay. He takes all this pressure and somehow turns it into like a decent he's nullifying a deficit.
He plays carry champs.
But he's too bad he's worse than the Shy. So the Shy showed it very convincingly through every match.
Doesn't really matter if he did
not a real. This man's the faker of top laners so far.
Like a beast.
He doesn't have
that doesn't matter if the Shy's just like, yeah, dude, but die. I guess can't split when you're dead.
I wish we did this show at last year's Worlds. This would have been so spicy. Okay.
We've got this year as well.
Is there anything else to touch on though for MSI? That you wanted?
Well, I'm hoping that I want to do another one of these right after the play-ins for the group stages, because we'll know what teams are going in, and from there maybe we wait until like the first week's happened, just so there's a reasonable amount of
first round robin.
Just so that we can have conversations looking towards the quarterfinals. And then
to clarify, Mitchell or Ryan, do you know if the play-ins group stage is 2 weeks straight, or is it just like back to back almost?
I have no idea.
So the next games, I know that the next games are on the 5th and the 6th, and the playoffs are on the 6th, and then I believe the next game starts on the 10th.
And then, group stage, is it back to back, or is it just week 1 and then literally resets week 2? Because I don't think MSI lasts this long. If it's really
a 3-week tournament, right? I'll just check.
Right, so there's no way that the group stages can be 2 weeks long.
I will check.
They have to be back to back, right?
Group stages.
This is just so that I know when we can expect to meet up after the week
Group
1 or
stages start from
whatever.
10th to the 14th, so it must be.
Yes.
That has to be.
Oh, so they're jamming it all in 4 days.
Yep. Cause
Yep.
then
It
cause then,
is
yeah, because the knock-ins.
10th to
Yeah,
14th.
the knock-ins are the 17th to the 19th.
Okay,
So
so we can meet up halfway through that, like on the 12th or 13th.
yeah, all right.
For the
So we'll be back around about that time, probably the 13th.
Oh my
Um,
god, dude! They're leaving SKT IG for the last. So,
Yeah, man, we got.
it's not
We
close.
can't. Let's not blow our load on week 1 of the play-ins. It's got plenty of this tournament.
oh no, they're playing last.
Oh.
Sorry, they're not gonna be last place.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
last.
They're the last game on the round robin. Yeah.
But we'll still get to see them play. We'll wait for them to play before we do any episode, because that's like a big talking point of how we feel like the rest of the tournament's gonna go. So
for sure.
But yeah, I feel like that's good enough. We've definitely had a lot of interesting takes. Not quite. I mean, to be fair, you think that Flash Wolves are gonna beat Vega, and I think that's interesting because Vega looks so much better than Flash Wolves right now. But that's okay.
I mean, it's a binary thing, right? It can only be yes win this team win or no this team win. So literally, it can only be so interesting as like I think Vega's gonna win or I think Flash
true.
There really aren't that many permutations. It's only 4
I don't know.
teams.
What are you on about, dude? I think that saying that Team Liquid are gonna win is an interesting take. It's a bit kind of head scratching. Why would you think that?
Yeah,
why would you think that a horse doesn't beat a buffalo, dude? That's all I'm saying.
You guys see that Reddit post? I think it'd be cool to like sign off this, but it's like, what are your 90, 50, 10% predictions?
That is actually a good one.
Yeah.
That's an excellent choice.
That tradition, yeah.
Okay. Give me, if you have one, go ahead while I think.
Okay. All right. 90% Team Liquid gets 4th place. 50%. I actually think Team Liquid is just straight up getting 4th place. I think they will like play to their level and then lose to the top 3 teams above them and beat everybody else.
That still means semis, right?
That's semis.
Yeah, top 4.
Look at them go.
Semis.
Yep.
I'll take it.
That's good, but it's like so expected, right?
Yeah.
And then 50% IG wins. The whole thing.
That's somehow safer than your other bet, and that's the 50% one.
I know. This is a safer one, huh? But I don't think it's a 90% that IG wins.
That's
though,
true.
At all, so that's why.
True.
Yeah, it can't be a 90%. A 50, I think it's pretty solid because that's super weighted. That means that all the other teams combined are 50, not just SKT. So.
Yeah. Well, I do think it'd be versus SKT.
The irony is that I read that as 50%, as in, of course the finals are IG versus SKT, but only one of them can win.
True.
Yeah.
Last week that was going to be KTRNG, so like
Yeah. When does KT ever show up?
And then what is my 10%? 10%. I don't know. The play-in team, the wildcard team, they actually make it into top 4. I think that's my 10%.
Wow.
So whoever it is.
Whoever it is.
That's fair enough, given the fact that there's 3.
They count Flash Wolf as the wildcard team, or only Vega and Fungu count?
I think it would just be Vega and Fungu.
Okay,
so
got it.
Yeah,
just make sure.
that would be my 10%.
Just in case we have some revisionist history going on next year. Like,
we look back at the VODs, I was
right. Do you want to go first, Ryan?
Yeah,
or me?
sure, I'll go. So 90% Team Liquid get knocked out now.
90, you gonna die on that cross?
I happily, dude, because it'll happen. No, 90%. I think. I might go in reverse because that's easier. So 10. I think 10%. Fung Fu Buffalo actually make it. I'm putting my money on Fung Fu Buffalo being the team that does make quarters. It's 10% on that.
90?
No, 10%. I'm going
going
the other way around.
Like, whoa.
Hang on.
90%.
100% Fung Fu Buffalo win the whole thing. They don't lose a single game. 10% Fung Fu Buffalo make it to quarters. 50%, I'll say 50% G2 actually make 3rd instead of 4th in that perspective, because I think that like when I say I think G2 are worse than Liquid.
Real quick, how do you even get 3rd at MSI? Is there a 3rd, 4th match? I thought it was
honestly it might be. No, you're right. There isn't a 3rd, 4th match. So
just get 3rd, 4th.
all right, okay then.
So
okay,
then
all right. I'll change that up. I didn't really think about that one. 50%. I think that G2 place higher than Liquid in their group, and then 10, and then 90%, which is like it should be a given, but I'm trying to think of something that's like edgy at the same time. I mean, I guess 90%. I want to say SKT just win the whole thing, which is not accurate in terms of.
That's like your 25 for 45%. I don't think it's your 90.
I don't know what. I don't even. I'm trying to think what 90 would be. Oh,
and I want to say G2 will be good, but like I'm not gonna.
I did actually. I've got a niche one. 90%. I think that there's gonna be a Leona game because I said this like weeks ago. As like somebody's gonna pick Leona because of the way that at least one game, Leona's gonna show. Leona will show up at this tournament once.
Interesting.
That's a
do you count hovers as showing up, or do you mean like
locked
literally
in, played, and loses? But no, she's
and loses.
She's gonna be played in a game. I have a feeling the meta shifts.
Who's gonna play?
What's your premise off that? Like I know you said it before, but I still don't understand.
You look at the shift for tanks, right? We go, oh, Nautilus is coming in, and a lot of and defensive mid laners are still kind of a thing. If you're not playing carries, you're still playing Lissandra. People are playing Morgana. People can play Galio because Galio can shift into meta because of just how like tanks want to fit in, and he's a very good and he's being played as support, so he's a good flex. So we see Galio picked. Tom Kench is a good pick. Nautilus is coming in as a tank pick, and like Braum and Alistar. All of these like really weirdly, not weirdly, all these tank supports. Some of them that can be flexed in mid and top. What happens when a team that plays specifically around like a tank orientated meta, or they want to get loads of tank picks, or a team that plays exclusively carries? They're like, oh shit, let's just ban out a bunch of tanks so that like this support player can't get like one of their main tanks in a best of 5, because a lot of the supports of this tournament that aren't like Core JJ, they just rely, and obviously Balan, they rely on like the Braum and the Galio, and like if you a lot of best of 5 plays or drafts are edged around like, oh, let's ban out like a specific player, let's stop the tanks from coming in.
You're saying Promiscue is gonna play Leona?
If he does, he's done it.
That'll be the only thing he contributes to this MSI.
He's back on the good list. It's just I'm sitting here thinking about like, okay, so Nautilus could get banned or picked as a mid laner. You need a tank, like, oh, Galio's banned away, Tom Kench is banned away, they've got the Braum, or they've got the Tom Kench and they've banned the Braum, and you're like, damn, what can I play? Because you maybe don't want to play the Alistar. I actually don't think Alistar has been picked that often. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall Alistar being picked very frequently.
I think you've
and so I'm like, well, what champion in the support role fits this like tank, like absurdly tanky thing, but also fits like a kind of a strange wildcard pick, and also just counters Tom Kench, by the way. It's Leona. Leona's just like the aggressive tank support. She has to be in a game. She has to be. Somebody's got to play.
You could just pick Thresh or something.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like a lot of these play like it's got to be one of the weird picks. Rakan and Thresh aren't weird. There's always like a strange pick, and I feel like it still fits.
We'll see range top line, range supports.
The range supports are garbage right now. They're so bad.
No, I don't think so.
At MSI, Morgana doesn't count. Morgana is the exception because she has Black Shield. She has.
Yeah, but of course she counts as a range support.
But she doesn't. But I don't think she counts for the whole like overarching like enchanter supports. She has Black Shield that removes CC. That's absurd. Yeah, well, Sona's played with Taric. She's not played on her own.
Yeah, I mean, you don't play support on your own. Period.
Yeah, but you don't pick Sona with any other AD carry. You don't even pick Sona with an AD carry. She's that bad. You don't even pick Sona with an AD carry.
You don't pick Tom with pretty much anything but Varus and maybe Ashe.
You pick Tom Kench with immobile AD carries. That's his like niche pick.
Only Varus and Ashe.
Of course.
No one else.
Exactly. But that's like there's conditions, but there isn't a condition to. The condition for Morgana is damn, they've got a lot of CC. There's not a condition to pick Janna.
That's true. But Nami could be played.
Maybe because she has a good disengage ult and like very good against.
Yeah, but probably not Lulu unless they play like a super hybrid funnel team. Anyways, my 90, 50, 10.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're right.
This is rough. Well, my 90 is a pretty safe one actually. I think IG's going to top the group stage 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. My 50. I wish it was my 50. My 50 is not IG getting first. It would be if there was like a 35. It would be what I would put. But my 50 is that I think that not the Shy rookie will look at the best mid laner here at the tournament.
Ooh.
And if I can, this is not like part of the 50, but I also think 50, the Shy will look like the best player at the tournament.
That's
that's
fair.
like my 90.
Yeah, I mean, I could put him as the best top, but I actually think it's higher than 50. So, but best player is a little bit more of a 50. And then my 10 is that the world works out that Team Liquid makes it to the finals.
Holy
10%.
10%. No, because hear me out. Because we are putting them as like the third place team, right?
So
like between 2 of the 3 of the analysts, right? And all you need to get to the finals, I'm not saying they're going to win a match in the finals. All you need is a weird ass group stage where Liquid is 4th, not Liquid's 4th, Liquid's 3rd, and they get picked by 2nd, and the 2nd place is G2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no. No, I take back that 10%. First place gets to pick this year. First place gets to pick their opponent, just like the NA playoffs.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, so they would always pick TL. They would pretty much always pick TL.
Yeah, because in the past, that's how CLG made it to the finals. They got the RNG SKT got killed off in the semifinals.
Yeah.
And CLG beat off, I forgot who they beat up, the Flash Wolves. And that's how CLG and NA made their first international finals. So if that were the case, I would give it 10% to Team Liquid, but it's not.
That's CLG.
Yeah, IG's for sure gonna pick TL just to poop on him.
Yeah, or G2. No, they could still pick G2, but TL won't be SKT. My 10% though is that TL will, if they meet up against G2 somehow, they will 3-0.
Oh shit!
Because I think that this version of TL, if they start winning, like G2 just will probably be so like checked out by them that it's just an easy win.
And it is about the read on the meta too.
Yeah, I think it's in reality, I think it's a 50% 3-2, but like 10% is a 3-0.
I think the meta could potentially very favor a team. It's hard to say, but it could.
Yeah, it's hard to say because the play meta just looks the same. It just looks like they didn't change patches for the most part.
I feel like there'll be some small changes, but not too much. The MSI patch wasn't that different outside of buffing and Nautilus, and who else? There was somebody
nerfing List.
Yeah, nerfing Lysandra.
Because between 9.6 and 9.8 that happened, and we saw 9.6 for the most part.
You know, Urgot, what happened to Urgot, man?
I mean,
that dude was
buffed him again, and then I don't know if 9.8's the patch that he got nerfed.
They took 2% out of his max health damage per shotgun leg, which is insane.
Because his W is nutty.
His W is nutty for sure, but he's the problem is that he's slow, easily kiteable, easily abusable by poke, easily abusable by hard engage, and he's squishy in the jungle and has bad matchups in top until later. Because the W's nutty at level 9, but it doesn't bully anymore until level 9. So you're like, for the longest time, you're just sitting there like.
I mean, Kale got played. I got code. That's all I'm gonna say. Kale's trash.
If you think about if you play top, right? We can talk about this after the show. Actually, we should sign off first, and I'll chat about this.
We should wrap
because it's not relevant to MSI. Anyway, well, it kind of.
It's a little relevant, but you know, we can wrap. We always got time to.
Urgot's not showing up.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, actually, I think he already showed up, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so as per usual, you can catch me on Twitter over at LECNerdy, or if you have any kind of lovely comments to tell me how you hate Team Liquid, you know, all your relative NA hate.
Send them to him. Don't send them to me.
Throw them into my DMs. I'll make sure that Kevin finds them.
Oh no! I've got fan mail for you.
Yeah. And Mitchell, you got like a anything you want to plug, Twitter or anything?
I'm staying off the social media thing. Graduating college, getting a job. Kind of want to. Stay a little.
Not a bad call.
Down, dude.
Yeah. I know.
Are you gonna flex on me like that?
Hey, it's not as glamorous as it looks, man. Trying to shell yourself out to companies. Hire me.
Trust me, I know it sucks. Kevin, I mean, I know where to follow you, but.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be in the description. I'll be at twitter.com/KevinShe3, same as the handle that's on the screen right now. I don't update it often, but you'll at least get notifications for the show and maybe some hot takes if I start, investing into it.
We should start a little.
Besides that,
Twitter war when the group stages start.
Yeah, I mean for sure. And then besides that, you can catch me on the Riff if you want to play. Same name.
Look at you go.
I don't know if my friends list has space right now, but I'll try to make space.
The collegiate jungler, by the way. Former collegiate jungler, by the way.
Former collegiate jungler, yes, this is true. I mean, I wasn't insane at it, but I was definitely played on a college team. So
anyway,
cool.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you probably the 12th ish, so like 13th, round about that time. 10 days or so.
Somewhere
10
around
days
there.
or so.
I mean, maybe we'll have some like random other content in between,
More
but
than
like
likely.
for this MSI,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be 10 days. So
All right.
MSI, at least we'll see you in a week and a
Peace.
half.